Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an AD&D advice video on knowledge and notes. And I'm not talking about taking notes, I'm talking about passing notes. Okay. In Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and in most other tabletop role-playing games, they have what's called player knowledge versus character knowledge. May have other terms for it now. I want to say they're using the term metagaming for using player knowledge, but I'm old school. I use player knowledge versus character knowledge. Player knowledge is information and skills which the player has, but his character does not. Player knowledge in our modern world would include automobiles, how to fix and work on cars, computers, television, pop culture, that kind of thing. Or a player knowing stuff in the game that their character is unaware of. If your character is stuck in a town and the other players are off doing something else, but you can hear what they're doing, if you use that knowledge when you're actually playing your character, that's wrong too. That's called player knowledge. You overhear a conversation between the dungeon master and another player that's supposed to be private. You know, the dungeon master pulls the player in the other room to talk, and you happen to overhear what they're talking about. If you use that knowledge in the game, that's player knowledge. Okay? You can't use player knowledge. Now, character knowledge is information and skills which the character has, but the player might not. For example, clerics would know medieval religion, basic first aid, mythology, clerical spells, etc. Fighters would know weapons, armor, care of weapons and armor, basic tactics, basic strategy, basic first aid, etc. Thieves in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons would know basic biology, in other words, where to stick the knife. Locksmith, basic mechanics for figuring out locks and traps, basic politics, basic geography, where to steal and who to steal from, that kind of thing. Magic users would know basic physics, because you have to know the laws of physics in order to break them. They would know basic physics, alchemy, history, herbalism, that kind of thing. You see the difference? These two types of knowledges can cross, but it's rare. Usually, if you're using character knowledge, that's a good thing. You may not know everything your character does, but you can fudge it. My character would know how to do this, so my character's going to do it. The dungeon master should, if the dungeon master requires you to know how to shoe a horse, yeah, that dungeon master doesn't understand the game concept of character knowledge. However, if the game that you're playing involves some time travel and your character jumps in and drives away in the car and you're playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, yeah, there's something wrong with that. As a dungeon master, it's important for you to keep the player knowledge and character knowledge separate when necessary. I have made mistakes, and it is definitely detrimental to the game. At one point, I accidentally let slip that one of the player characters was a ninja. Most players want to keep that shit secret, and rightly so. It killed an entire plot line, and I don't think the player ever forgave me. It was a complete accident. I was in the course of the conversation, I let it slip, and it was just stupid on my part. And it killed an entire plot line for the campaign. I had 2 copies of a note at one point. One with the total information, and one with red ink, which I was using for bloodstains, which hid key parts of the information. I was using it as a visual aid, something I could give players. I accidentally left the total note, the unbloodied version of the note, out on the table, and all of the players read it without thinking about it because they thought it was something that they should know. Bye-bye campaign. The whole thing went away. I had to start over. I I ran him in something little there, but then 3 months worth of work was shot, and I had to go and start researching all over again and getting an entirely new campaign set up because they knew what was going on. It ruined the entire campaign. Don't be afraid to take a player into the other room and speak secretly. Don't be afraid of whispering. Get right in his ear if you have to. Don't be afraid to pass notes when necessary, and encourage your players to do the same. I was playing in one game, and the dungeon master, he was big on notes, so anytime anything happened, a barrage of notes would fly into him, and he had to sit there and sort through them all. That you throw your note, then basically go take a pee break and go grab something to drink or whatever, because he's going to be a while reading all the notes. And that's part of the game. But it keeps certain player knowledge. It keeps certain player knowledge out of the game, and that's a good thing. Don't let your players weasel info out of you. This is one of the most important things, because they will. They're certainly going to try, and many of them are some devious sons of bitches. They're going to try it. I had a guy, his name was David. This guy asked question after question after question after question. This guy showed up at my work to ask me questions about the D&D game. I was in the back doing prep work, and I worked at a restaurant, and one of the girls up front came back and said, "Hey, there's a guy here that needs to talk to you." Okay, so I went up front. He was there, and I said, "Dude, what's going on?" And he goes, "Okay, if my character," I'm like, "Dude, I'm at work, go away." They will try to weasel information out of you any way they can. Don't let them. Players who know more than they should will destroy your game. I'm just saying. And Lord knows they're going to try. I'm just saying. So, try to keep player knowledge and character knowledge as separate as you can. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes they cross when a player knows. Like, for example, if a player knows how to shoe a horse, that's player knowledge and character knowledge. If you're playing in a modern day role-playing game, and chances are most every character knows how to drive a car, but they may not know how to drive a tank. You see what I'm saying? There's player knowledge and character knowledge. Where they don't cross, you have to keep them separate. So, just word to the wise. That note passing is a really, really good habit to get into for your gamers. Just keep that in mind as well. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.